Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Huntersville Board of Commissioners meeting. Please take a moment and make sure your phones are on silent, and we will take a pause for a moment of silence. Okay. Now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out and joining us this holiday season. I was just telling Commissioner Phillips that this is about the time that people don't show up for our board meetings. So thank you all for being those folks that come out and are really interested in what we're doing here in the town's work. We are going to move on to our mayor and commissioner reports and staff questions. I will tell you that the MTC is not meeting until January the 27th, so I will have an update after I attend that first meeting. Also wanted to let you all know that I had the opportunity to tour Have Hydraulics. It's a new company that's just moved here into Huntersville over off of 73 in Jamesburg in one of the really nice new buildings. And they're in the process of hiring. So if you know anyone who is interested in or in looking for a job, I would point them to Have Hydraulics. They hydraulics, and so they're doing. I was trying to be a little bit more eloquent than that, and that just didn't happen. I apologize for that, but it really is an incredible facility, air conditioned, very clean, and I look forward to them being partners. They're certainly interested in doing some apprenticeship and internship opportunities as well, but they've only been in Huntersville for a couple of weeks. So definitely take some time and welcome them to the community. With that, we will start with Commissioner Boone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Got a quick report here tonight from the Huntersville Fire Department on the 7th of December. Fire Department met and they promoted firefighter John Whitley to captain. John has been with the fire department since 2010, and that's my report.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kidwell.
There we go. No reports as of yet. I've got meetings scheduled with HFFA, I believe tomorrow, and the various boards starting in January.
Thank you. Commissioner Kovacs?
Newbie. So an update from the Lake Norman Chamber. Complete Kids will have a ribbon cutting tomorrow at 12 p.m. at 16409 North Cross Drive. This past Friday, the Chamber had a great conversation at their Focus Friday with CMS Board Rep Rhonda Cheek, who discussed issues from COVID protocols to how administration is handling the rising issues of guns in schools. Of note, the Chamber offices will be closed December 23rd through December 27th for the holiday, and again December 31st through January 3rd. And an update from the Huntersville Regional Chamber. They'll be presenting the new board members to the membership this week for the 2022 year. The Board of Directors recently had several sessions to plan ahead and calendarize the year with meetings, events, and speakers. The new website will soon be unveiled and will showcase the new efforts to support area businesses as they recover from the challenges of COVID. One special item of note is that our businesses remain challenged by worker shortages, and as they work out these issues on behalf of our businesses, our chamber thanks the citizens for their patience and customer service, especially during this busy holiday season. And remember that our neighbors are also running our businesses, so as always, please support local. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Munger.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar to most of the other people, not a lot going on right now for me, so I just want to take the opportunity to wish everyone happy holidays, and I do hope that you please stay safe during this time. We know that the COVID-19 is starting to rear its head again, so please be conscious of that. And as always, if you have an opportunity to give, please consider supporting our nonprofits such as Angels and Sparrows, Caterpillar Ministries, Bags of Hope, Hope House, and Ada Jenkins. And thank you.
Commissioner Partee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, town staff, residents, and those that are present on social media. Well, this past week, I've been very busy. I had attended a 3-day introductional course on government administration with the University of North Carolina School of Government. Also, on the 15th, a Wednesday, I attended my first commission meeting with Parks and Recreation, and I met the staff, met the commissioners there, and it was a very informative meeting regarding turfing some of our ball fields. This past Saturday, I also attended the Christmas giveaway at the Huntersville Recreation Center, the toy giveaway, which was very productive and very well attended. And on top of that, I just have 2 issues that I just want to address. And I'm a big peeve for gun safety. And I think that I just want to remind all of us that, as gun owners here and in the town, to always safeguard your weapons with trigger locks, gun safe, or disassemble the weapon, especially where children and young adults are present. In addition to that, I wanted to take time to honor a charity, which I'm very dear to. I was honored to have met the coordinator for Cool Kids Clubhouse in honor of Dean Jensen. At the Lake Norman Chamber of Commerce luncheon approximately 6 months ago, I had the honor to meet the coordinator. I then got invited to visit their clubhouse right here in Huntersville. Needless to say, I am, as a cancer survivor, Cool Kids Clubhouse mission is devoted to improving the quality of life for pediatric cancer patients. It's very apropos that I identify with this charity because as a cancer survivor and also as a CC, Commissioner Phillips, the cool commissioner. I think that I just want to bring attention to this, to their website, the Cool Kids website. Please visit that website, donate, volunteer. And with that, Mayor, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Commissioner Phillips.
I got a long one. I'm sorry, y'all. 2022 Rural Hill First Foot of New Year's Day is a free event. It's on New Year's Day. Following the Protestant Reformation in Scotland in the latter half of the 16th century, it was considered irrelevant to celebrate dates of religious importance. Thus, merriment and celebrations were reserved for Hog Money. I know it's the craziest word. This important part of the year combined both New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with celebrations of goodwill and good fortune. The schedule begins at 10 a.m. and it goes until 12 p.m. It is going to include a 2.25-mile trail walk, events and historic site visits, including stops to talk about history and folklore. If you are not physically able to do the walk, you're still invited to come and encouraged to come because you will be able to hang out in the rural retreat cabin site. And they're also doing a meal, and they ask that you bring fresh or canned vegetables for the soup, bread, dessert, soft drinks, bowls, plates, napkins. I could sit up here and read you guys like 600 words, if not more, about this. But to learn more, you can go to HOGMANAY.net because it is like a national holiday around like the globe, I guess. Or you can check out ruralhill.net. I probably just butchered the heck out of this, but it's actually a really cool thing to do. And then with Ada Jenkins, just some updates about Ada Jenkins. The number of households served in our economic mobility program, aka case management, increased by 7 families in November. This one is really important to me. We prevented 16 households from losing housing in November. We also are seeking financial support to bring our LearnWorks after-school program, which serves children 1st to 8th and as much as 3 grades behind with supplemental education to Huntersville for the 2022-2023 school year. I would encourage you all to ask if your job does matching donations for the end of the year, to consider Ada Jenkins, because they're really trying their best to bring programs to the children in Huntersville. And I am hopeful that we can see more of that in the future. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any staff questions this evening? Commissioner Kovacs?
Are we able to address this, ask Anthony to address this?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to move on to public comments. Ms. Betty Caldwell? Ms. Caldwell, thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Betty B.J. Caldwell, and I reside at 14521 New Haven Drive in Huntersville. And this is to the Huntersville Mayor and Board at their December 20th meeting. And it's about Huntersville Rosenwald School Number 2 for Black children. The white wooden structure located at 508 Delwood Drive in Huntersville, North Carolina, was built as a public school between 1920 and 1925. It is one of 6 historically significant remaining Rosenwald schools for Black children in the state that shows evidence of human interaction with the physical environment. The money to build the school came from the Julius Rosenwald Fund, Mecklenburg County, and residents who provided labor and/or matching funds. For the past 20 years, this building has been a favorite rental of residents who live in the homes surrounding it. This past summer, the previous governing body approved the selling of the Blythe Building and the relocating of the early childhood program that was held there to the Rosenwald School campus. Immediately, the move of this program to the campus put a stop on the site being available as a rental. This was and still is a major shock to those who attended it and those who valued it as a rental. A report was sent to the mayor and commissioners detailing the effect their decision was having on residents. Many said it showed insensitivity towards individuals who had a special love for this historic site, and they were requesting them to revisit their decision and perhaps create a rental use compromise of the building. As of today, one governing official from the town has reached out to me. Recommendations were submitted, but there has been no written response. It is my understanding that elected officials are not mandated to respond to every report they receive, but as elected officials, this is what some do. In the coming year, I will resend a revised edition of the report to the mayor and board with the anticipation of a written reply from them or the town staff, at least acknowledging they're having receipt of it. Thank you very much, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell, and I'm trying to think who would be the best person. I do know that we got an update on that, and if you would like to talk maybe with Mr. Williams back there, and he can give you an update on where staff is currently with that. It is being worked on. All right, moving on to agenda changes. Do we have any agenda changes? Seeing none, we will, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as presented? I don't vote, I forgot. I knew it. Did you see that? I know, it's a habit. I'm still learning. It's a muscle memory thing. Yeah, no, it isn't. It is not a tie. This is something I'm gonna have to get used to, folks. That's all right. So I do believe it was a 6-0 to move forward with the agenda as presented. We will then move into our public hearing of the evening. We will be conducting a public hearing on 3 street right-of-way abandonments along Burkdale Commons Parkway within the Burkdale development.
Mayor Bales, I'd like to make a motion on that.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to continue this public hearing to January 18th, 2022, and as a result of continuance, update the resolution of intent to reflect the new public hearing date.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to continue this public hearing?
January 18, 2022.
Ms. Loop, there's a question in regards, do we need the location in the motion, or is it just the 18th at the January 18th meeting?
We do need to include the location.
I'd like to amend that. Motion to continue public hearing to January 18, 2022 at the Huntersville Town Hall, and as a result of continuance, update the resolution of intent to reflect the new public hearing date.
Okay, I have a motion, and do I have a second for the amended motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, it passes 6-0. Now we are going to move on to my very first quasi-judicial hearing. So we are going to conduct an evidentiary hearing and consider decision on petition, a special use permit 21-05, a request by Chris Wilson on behalf of Sharon Kennedy of parcel ID number 017032222 to allow solar panels on the front of roof slope of the home. Yes, let me get to my papers. This one I'm still new at. So, just to be clear, I'm reading all this first before we get to the swearing in, correct? Okay, thank you. Quasi-judicial hearings are evidentiary in nature. Only parties with standing, including the applicant, property owner, local government, and individuals who can show they will suffer special damages have the right to participate fully in the hearing. Special damages must be particularized, separate, and distinct from damages to the public at large. Special damages are a fact-specific inquiry. While proximity may bear weight in the determination of special damages, proximity in and of itself is insufficient to grant standing. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Other individuals may, but are not required to be, allowed to speak as a witness. However, they will not be allowed to participate fully as a party, such as by questioning other witnesses or by calling other persons to testify. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not personal preferences or opinions. Certain topics require expert witnesses, including projections about impacts on property values and traffic impacts. Individuals providing expert opinion testimony must be qualified as experts and provide the factual evidence upon which they base their expert opinion. Mere conclusory testimony lacking the foundation of the expert's opinion is insufficient to establish the existence or non-existence of a fact or conclusion. The board must base quasi-judicial decisions upon competent, material, and substantial evidence in the record. Competent evidence is evidence that is sufficiently trustworthy and reliable, and that is legally fit and acceptable for consideration by the board. Speculative, irrelevant, or vague evidence, non-expert opinions as to something that requires an expert, and non-accepted hearsay evidence will likely not be competent evidence. Material evidence is evidence that shows that the standards will or will not be met. And evidence is substantial if it is relevant and regarded by a reasonable person as sufficient to support a specific conclusion. Speculation, unsubstantiated fears of the community, or vague assertions do not constitute substantial evidence. Quasi-judicial hearings are constrained by the standards in the ordinance and the facts presented. Even though the board may hear other evidence, if it is not objected to, the board should rely on competent, material, and substantial evidence in making its decision. So the board will recognize the applicant as the party as well as the property owners, if different from an applicant. Are there other persons who believe they have standing to participate fully as a party? If you wouldn't mind coming forward, if you believe you have standing. No one here. Will each party, do I continue with the identification of witnesses? You can identify others who do not have standing. And there's no one here. So there's no one here with standing or without? So we can move forward. Will each party tell me, well, I guess we're skipping that part, correct? I'm sorry. There's a lot here. The parties in this case, let me start over here. Identification of other witnesses. Will each party tell me the witnesses they intend to call? Do you all intend to call any other witnesses? No. Are there other persons who don't qualify to be a party but who would like to testify? The answer is no, there's no one here. Disclosure, the parties to this case are entitled to an impartial board. A board member may not participate in this hearing if she or he has a fixed opinion about the matter, a financial interest in the outcome of the matter, or a close relationship with an affected person. Does any board member have any conflicts of interest to offer at tonight's meeting? We have seen none. The parties in this case have rights to an ex parte communication to be disclosed. Ex parte communication is any communication about the case outside of the hearing. That may be email communications, as well as conversations with parties, staff, or the general public. Does any board member have any ex parte communications to disclose? Seeing none. I'd like to call on planning staff for the presentation of their staff report. Yes, and I don't have a Bible. I know. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Do we have the applicant here? We do not, do we? So,
I do not see him here.
okay.
Okay. All right, before we start, I'll submit my application or my staff report into the record. A quick background, minor solar energy facilities on a residential property are allowed within the town. In this case, any solar panel that's on the front sloping roof requires a special use permit. That is also required if it's on the front facade. This request is by Chris Wilson on behalf of Sharon Kennedy for the property at 10545 Mount Holly Huntersville Road. This is a overview of the area. As you can see, it's off of Mount Holly Huntersville Road towards the right of the screen, and the property itself is off a common drive. And this is an overhead of the property. As you can see, the property is fairly wooded and secluded from their neighbors. And this is the site plan or the location of the solar panels on the roof itself. And with that, staff recommends approval based on the findings in the staff report, and the planning board motion for approval is on the screen as well. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer those for you.
Commissioner
Question
Kidwell?
For Ms. Sloan.
Yes.
That's all right. Emily, I believe North Carolina General Assembly, did they recently pass statute that we need to address going forward?
160D 914, yes.
And that's basically so we won't have to, applicants won't have to come to us in the future, correct?
Staff is in the process of updating the text of this particular section to comply with 160D 914 and remove this as a quasi-judicial matter.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Boone?
Thank you. I got a question for Emily. If the applicant or comes in here later, is he going to be sworn, be able to participate, or do we just going to move on without him? What's the guidance there?
If the board chooses to delay a decision, you can wait to see if he comes, or you can move forward without him here.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, the board can make a decision to move forward, whether it is to approve the special use permit or to deny.
Yes.
Commissioner Boone?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I motion to approve a special use permit, SUP 21-05, solar panels for 10545 Mount Holly Huntersville Road. We, the town board, find the request meets all required conditions and specification, is reasonable and does not pose an injurious effect on the adjoining property, and finds the character of the neighborhood or health, safety, and general welfare of the community will be minimized. This decision is supported by the following findings. One, the solar panels are not considered rooftop equipment, thus screening and architectural requirements are not permitted. The roof panels will have an anti-reflective coating, and the placement of the solar panels on the front roof slopes is not visible from the adjacent property. And three, the applicant and staff have agreed to obtain all applicable permits.
Second.
So I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion?
Can I just have one thing for clarification? On the solar panels are not considered rooftop equipment, thus screening and architectural requirements are not. You had said permitted, I believe you meant required.
Not visible. 1 second, as I read. Are not permitted is my motion.
Okay.
That was a point one of facts of finding.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the staff will draft, and I, or an authorized, I guess, will sign as final written decision to reflect the vote and reasoning for this decision. Thank you to everyone attending the hearing regarding this special use permit. We welcome you to stay for the other items on the agenda, and if you're leaving, please do so quietly at this time. Thank you, that was a first. That was a lot. So we are now going to move on to item 9B. And this is appointments to Huntersville Sesquicentennial Celebration Planning Committee. Mr. Williams.
Good evening. Before you, we have the map. In the bylaws, it stated that for quadrants would be identified and from each quadrant would be selected. We sent that to you guys in your packet. And then this is sort of a rough breakout of everyone who applied to be considered in the different categories that comprise the bylaws. And then I've got the bylaws in here, should you need them for any part of your discussion tonight.
Thank you.
So after some discussion, this has been a nightmare of a situation, and I appreciate Bobby for taking this on last minute. This started months and months ago, and it has been unfortunate it's taken this long. The new board members inherited this, and I think that their valid concerns have been heard. I feel like we have quietly had some conversations and then quietly not had some conversations. And to respect my fellow board members, I would like to make a motion to amend the bylaws for the 150th Anniversary Committee to change the 8 quadrant members in Section 2 to at-large members. I'm not going to speak for others, but there were concerns that this was setting a precedent that could hinder our town in the future. So I listened, and I hope that we can all respectfully agree on this. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
I'll second that.
So to be clear, the motion is to amend the bylaws
For the
all
citizen
at-large.
votes.
Okay, for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
citizen votes.
That does not impact business or nonprofit.
Okay, so for the citizen votes, we would be making all of them at large and doing away with the quadrants. And I have a motion and I have a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, it is 6-0 that we have amended those bylaws. And now, how are we going to do this, the appointments?
I would like to make a motion to temporarily suspend the rules of procedure for considering appointments to the Huntersville 150th Anniversary Committee. There has been some general consensus, and something that has been discussed previously was voting on these memberships. The reason to suspend the rules is that we are never voting against a citizen, which is something that has been problematic in the past because we appreciate everybody that has applied. And therefore, by doing this, we are able to vote for people and never against the people who have willingly offered to serve our community.
So I have a motion to suspend the rules. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion around that? All those in favor? Any opposed? That was a 6-0 to suspend the rules. And so now that we have suspended the rules,
Yes, ma'am. I don't have to say quadrants anymore, which is a nice little surprise. So the general consensus was that we would appoint, and I'm sorry, these are not in alphabetical order, Eric Rouse, Samuel Harper, Sarah Banks, Julia Rogers, Sean Caldwell, William Walter, Taylor Brock Hutto, Beverly Mitzel, Carmen Cousin, and then I will go to the business. Business would be Carmen Cousin, Kaylee Mullen, Sam James, Denise Casper. Nonprofits would be Jessica Bustamante, Kathy Jones, Joseph Reel Sr., Beatrice Springs. Public Safety will be Bill Southard and Amelia Burnett. Parks and Rec Commission, Ash Monroe. Public Art Commission, April Dunn. Non-voting members appointed via the town, Janet Pearson and Kim Strickland.
so I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Partee seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. First of all, I appreciate the fact that we take a poll of who we're supporting, so we're not voting against any individual from the town. And a lot of people that I have chosen through their willingness to step up to this were named. I'm not going to vote in favor of this. I firmly believe we need to do that at the dais. Might take longer. It might make people feel uncomfortable, but I believe in being open and honest of who we're supporting, why we're supporting them, and having that discussion. Thank you.
Commissioner Munger.
Sure. So similar, I appreciate everyone who went ahead and signed up to be on this committee. There's a number of great applicants. Whoever will end up on this committee will do an exceptional job, I have no doubt. My hesitation, or the reason why I will probably vote no, is that I had chosen 16 names on the quadrant in business and nonprofit. Out of those, 6 of those didn't make the list, so I understand we try and come to a consensus. I'm just not in that consensus, so I can't in good conscience vote for this current proposed board.
Okay. So I still have a motion on the floor, and I have a second. All those in favor of the motion as presented? I have 3. And all those opposed? Okay. Well,
To the big leagues.
I know, right? I wasn't anticipating that. All right, well, I know that all the work and the effort that you all have put into this, and I also recognize that the 150th Sesquicentennial Committee is a very large one where they'll be meeting needs for our town for 150th birthday. I will be voting in support of the motion, and we will move forward with setting that committee, and I look forward to seeing the work that they do for the Huntersville's 150th birthday. So there is nothing on the consent agenda. I would like to open it up for any closing comments. Commissioner Kidwell.
Thank you. First of all, it is great to be here in person with this board. Virtually was nice, and I think our IT department did a great job on that, but it's so much better being in person. I'd like to wish everybody out there happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a special shout out to my friend Heather McLean, who just made it back from the hospital. She's been battling COVID and the after effects, and just received word that she's back home. So she's probably not watching, but, you know, welcome back home.
Any other comments? Well, I would like to take a moment to wish every citizen in Huntersville happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I look forward to seeing you all in the new year, and I look forward to continuing to work with this new board. I won't be able to say new board when we hit January. We will just be hitting the ground running. So with that, I would like to,
Motion to adjourn.
got a motion, got a second, and all those in favor? All right, motion adjourned.